Well, good morning, good afternoon, fellow book people. We're in the library, as you can see, at Derwent. Spin it around for you a second. Yeah, we're off up in the woods. I'm camping tonight. Hope you've all had a good reading month. I did, although I've only read 2 books. I have got a massive book haul, but I will be doing that in a week or so. Otherwise, as you will have probably seen from my videos, they tend to ramble. But we're heading through the library now, through the forestry section, pine plantation that is in the process of being logged. Beautiful. I will get to where I'm going, get you back out. We're nearly there, lovies, behind me in the library. It's Kinder Plateau painting section. We will be heading to the forestry section of the library in just a minute. It's lovely and still. No noise, which is lovely. So then, lovers, we are in the forestry department and housing department of the library. Little tree creeper over there. So as I said, I've got a massive book haul. I'll be doing that later on in the month. It'll be mid to early February. So what have I read in January? Well, I started off with George MacDonald Fantasticides, George MacDonald Classics Collection, Fantasy Classics Collection. The 3 ones it's got in it are his allegedly best short fantasy books: Fantasticides, The Light Princess, The Princess and the Goblin, and Lilith. Now, the print is pretty small. For how many pages is it? 400 pages. That's why it took me a long time to read it, because the print's small. I would have liked it better if they'd made the font a bit bigger and added 25 more pages, say. No problem. It would have been easier to read, easier to get through. Did I like it? Yes, I did. But I kept thinking, I know this story. And then next, I know this bit. I know this bit. I know this bit. No, I didn't. I've never read him before. But because he was such an influential author of the start of the 19th century and late 1800s, a lot of people have copied him. C.S. Lewis loved him. You can tell Tolkien's been influenced by him. A lot of modern science fiction people have been influenced by him. And I kept finding myself thinking, I know this. I didn't. I know this. No, I didn't. I know this. No, I didn't. So yeah, it was an odd book to read. Brilliant though. Fantasticides, the first one, starts off, young man inherits his dad's house and wealth and everything like that. He's 21. He goes to the writing bureau and rummages through it. I'm not going to put any spoilers in it because it's well worth a read. But this young man goes on he goes to bed, finds himself travelling in another land, a fairyland. It's got goblins, fairies, all sorts. And it's his voyage through, that's why I get through so many glasses, through to manhood, if you like. I liked it, but I think it went on and on and on and on. But it was a very good story. The second one, The Light Princess, that was all right, you know. The third one, The Goblin, The Princess and the Goblin, that was quite good. I liked that because it was this young girl. She lived in a massive castle / manor house. The king was out roaming and cavorting and keeping his kingdom. Up in the mountains there was a quarry and a mine, and she lived in the castle. Lo and behold, goblins are mining through to the house, and it's a love story between this young man and this young princess. It is really good how they interacted and how the goblins were portrayed. That was good. Quite a contrast to the Light Princess, which is the second story, who was weightless because she wasn't invited to the christening. The king's sister wasn't invited to the christening of his firstborn daughter. So she's a witch, very evil young lady, took umbrage to it and put a spell on this princess that she was weightless. So it's how she goes through life being weightless, basically. So she's floating about and she can float up. So, you know, she's got to be quite careful of what she does. And this prince on his travels sees her swimming, is besotted by this princess in the water cavorting about, and he thinks, so you know what, I'll have a bit of that. But he doesn't know she's weightless. Anyway, it all goes round. It's good story, good story. Total different to the Goblin Princess, where the goblins want to move from under the mountain out into the light. And the only way they can do that is kidnap the princess, marry her, hold her to ransom. Then the king will say, yeah, you can come out and we won't kill you. Well, it don't go to plan, because goblins aren't the brightest. But it's good story. Now, the fourth one, Lilith. That is a bizarre story, and I had not a fucking clue what was going on through it. A lot of the times I didn't quite get the analogies he was trying to make. There's a lot of religious overtones in it. Adam, from Adam and Eve, the firstborn of Adam and Eve is a woman who's a bit... There's God, there's angels, there's babies that never grow up, and if they do grow up, they turn into giants who are a bit thick. It is just a bonkers story. And he accesses this other world through a mirror in his attic. It's very similar to C.S. Lewis's Narnia things. He angles the mirrors and he steps into it and he's transported to another fairy realm, if you like. And there's the librarian who's Adam, but he's a raven, who's a bloke. It was just absolutely bonkers. I didn't quite grasp that. I give it 4 stars. I don't think I would read the whole book in a oneer again, but I would definitely read certain stories in the collection because they were beautifully written, absolutely beautifully written. You can see why he's had such an influence on fantasy and science fiction ever since like the 1800s. And George MacDonald was a vicar, a preacher, very well educated, and wrote lots on all different subjects. So yeah, it took me a long time to read it because the font's very small and I kept getting sidetracked. I know this, I don't. Anyway. So second book I read. I've read 2 of this fella's books before. They are young adult, school. I think they're on the reading list in England, or they have been. And it's Shadows by Tim Bowler. I really like this. I really like this book. I have liked his others. This was excellent. About a young man in England. His dad is not the pleasantest of men, but he is very driven and he wants his son to be the world's best squash player in the world. And ever since he could walk and hold a racket, that was his destiny in his dad's eyes. And unfortunately, it all goes horribly wrong for him. This young man, I think he comes across as like about 16. He's still at school. So in England, he'll be 15, 16, something like that. And he's got a big competition. He meets this young woman who's sleeping in the shed at the bottom of his yard in the allotments, and she's a runaway, and she's heavily pregnant, ready to drop. And there are two pimps. One's her pimp. Bloodthirsty killers. It's odd because it's set in England, but you could say it was more of an American novel. At first, I thought it was based in America. Just the way that they describe things wouldn't happen in England, but unfortunately, my head's getting a bit chilly here. I brought my big jacket out. Glasses are gone again. Yeah, so it was a bit... Would that really happen in England? No. But anyway, he runs off with this young pregnant girl, and they escape to a safe house. He ends up having a confrontation with these two hoodlums, gangsters, who were after this girl because she owes him money. He borrows money off his mate to pay him off. Transpires one kills his brother because they're both hoodlums, and they're free. They get to this house. This is full of spoilers, isn't it? I'm spoiling this book for you. They get to this house. He has an epiphany moment as he's laid. She gives birth under the motorway, and they're travelling about. And he goes back to his dad. I'm not going to say any more about that because the ending I didn't see coming. Don't go on Goodreads and read the reviews on it if you're going to read this book, because they'll spoil the ending for you. Luckily, I didn't. But yeah, absolutely brilliant little book. It's only like 170 pages. I think after that monster, I read it in 3 sittings. You know, one evening, one morning on a Saturday, the next was on the Sunday afternoon. So I read it in 3 goes because it's a real page turner. It's got to be. It's a young adult book, you know. Would I recommend it to a young adult? Probably not. But then, who am I? You know. So that's it for my reads. George MacDonald's Fantasy Classics and Shadows by Tim Bowler. I hope you all have a fabulous February. I will do a huge book haul in the next few weeks. I'm going to put the kettle on and make me send some brew. See you later, scruffers.